I'm not a lawyer, but let me tell you about day 2 of the Tay-K capital M trial. So there were 3 witnesses of the day, and the first was a bystander who, like witnesses from day 1, saw a scuffle in the car but didn't see the actual discharging of the firearm.
There was this car, a black little car, was like braking and braking and braking, was going, braking, stopping, until I noticed that the car was stopped, but it was bouncing. And so I looked closer, and I told my husband, I said, looks like they're beating up the guy in the middle. Being nosy, I just stood there until the door swung open, and somebody was yelling, help me, and then the door would slam, and then the door would open again, and you would hear them screaming. The passenger in the front, who was wearing a white shirt, was holding a gun. The car door kept opening and closing, and then he jumped out of the car again and jumped on the hood of the car and was holding on. And it's at that point that the car took off. Yes, I heard 3 gunshots.
Witness number 2 was a responding officer to the scene. She wasn't on the stand for very long, but one of the highlights from her testimony was that a witness on the scene gave her a cell phone.
What did you collect at the scene?
A cell phone.
Where did you get that cell phone from?
From Gabriel Baez.
And that's one of the individuals that you spoke to at the scene that you considered a witness?
Yes. Yeah, it was wrapped in a white hand towel, and he had handed it to me.
They didn't get into whose phone it was, but I'm pretty sure that that's coming. And then the final witness of the day was another bystander, but this bystander says she saw the whole thing. A little context before I play this clip. She says she was in the car with her husband. He was driving. She was in the front passenger seat. And they were sitting at a red light behind the car that Tay-K and Mark Saldivar were in.
We were at a stop because the light was red. The vehicle started like moving side to side as if they were playing inside the vehicle. I did see the back passenger side open, the door open, then they closed it, they opened it again, and they pushed, which is the victim, out of the vehicle. Then they closed the door, so the victim was outside of the vehicle trying to open the door. He started yelling for help. He went around to the other side of the vehicle to try to open the door. They were all locked. So then the light turned green. The gentleman went to the front of the vehicle and jumped on the hood. Then he held on, the vehicle started moving, and it kind of sped up. It started maneuvering side to side to get the gentleman off. Of course, it didn't. He held on. But then they turned into Chick-fil-A. As soon as the vehicle turned into Chick-fil-A, as I was looking, the person inside the vehicle opened the door on the passenger side and stepped out, of course, half of the body, and just shot the gentleman. The gentleman had stood up on the vehicle already, on the hood. Mm-hmm. And so he stomped his foot on the windshield, which is the victim, stomped his foot in the windshield. He shattered it. Mm-hmm. Then that's when the gentleman from inside the vehicle, he opened it, stepped out, and just shot him. That's when I saw the gentleman, the victim, fall off the hood. And then after that, I don't know what happened, because that's when I passed. And I turned into where that Jason's Deli entrance is at. Mm-hmm. And I parked in that parking lot.
On cross, the defense attorney highlights some inconsistencies in her testimony, like where she says people were seated in the car.
And in your just previous testimony, could you determine whether the person was male or female?
Yes, there was 2 male in the front, and then the 3 persons in the back were 2 males and 1 female.
If you recall, everyone else has said that the woman was the one driving. This witness is also asked about telling the 911 operator that she was the one driving on the day of the incident, but now on the stand, she says that her husband was the one driving.
You indicated to the 911 operator that you were driving, but you said that your husband was driving.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not a major point, but do you actually recall which one it was?
My husband was driving.
Okay.
Yes.
You were listening to music, right?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You recall that you gave a statement previously to law enforcement and actually signed an affidavit to?
I was probably listening to music prior to that, and then of course I had rolled down my window.
Since we're talking about inconsistencies, it's also worth noting that the first witness of the day told police that the front seat passenger was Hispanic.
Who were you able to get the best look at in that black motor vehicle?
The person in the front seat that was holding the gun.
Okay, and you said what color shirt was that person wearing?
He was wearing a white t-shirt.
And you had previously described this person as a Hispanic male, is that correct?
Yes, okay. But again, the car was just moving, it was bouncing. So everybody just looked brown to me.
Of course, up to this point, everyone has agreed that the front seat passenger was Tay-K, a black male. So while most of the testimony from the eyewitnesses has overall been pretty similar, these inconsistencies that the defense highlights goes to their point that this case is built on the testimony of witnesses who didn't have the best view of what was happening and the testimony of people in the car who are really just accomplices trying to save themselves. Also, the last thing before I go is that the judge for this case is Judge Boyd. You may have seen her on TikTok. And child, this woman does not play. There was some kind of issue at the end of the day about a video being admitted, and in the middle of the attorney making their argument, she kind of just cuts him off.
The point that we are trying to make here is that the state offered a still photograph from a video. I asked that for optional completeness, the full video be entered. I'm given a CD with 3 videos. I don't know how to divide a CD into 3 pieces and have it still run on a computer. I didn't know what other option was available to me. I now realize I can take.
Are you available to come back tomorrow?
I would have to put in my date.
All right, we'll stay till you're finished with your testimony. Bring the jury in.
He was mid-sentence. Why would she cut him off like that?
Your Honor, if we could just for one moment allow opposing counsel to see the exhibit we prepared so that we can actually effectuate this. I understand from the purpose of the record the court's upset with me. The court's tone of voice indicates that. That's the demeanor
Here's the
of the
thing. Number one, I'm not upset with anybody. I don't get upset with counsels. What I can tell you is I don't like people over talking me. I don't like people who are not listening to my ruling or people who are not accepting my ruling and continue to push that point when I've already made my ruling. So the record can reflect, Cindy, that the court is not upset with the state's attorneys. The court is not upset with the defense attorneys.
I
Now,
think the
that
record
is
needs
what
to
the court.
reflect
That is what the
I don't
court
agree with
is
the court's
saying.
interpretation of that, but that's just how I see it.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back tomorrow, and the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone. See you all back at 1:30. Whatever y'all need to do with the video, you have until 1:30 tomorrow to have that done. Thank you.
The defense attorney has also asked for a mistrial like 5 times in the last 2 days, and she just immediately denies it. So we gonna see what day 3 brings.